Shoulda, woulda, coulda. That's how it feels like right now to be a Forest fan. Welcome to my thoughts on Forest 0, 115 2. Good morning, good evening, or good night. Hope you guys are doing well. And welcome to your latest Nottingham Forest video. Coming up in today's video, we're going to reflect back over the Man City game yesterday. And Forest were this close. But a lot to unpack of it, a lot positive, some negative, and some things I want to cast your minds back to. If you're enjoying the content, please don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe to Forest Fan TV if you are new. And coming up tonight, Grumpy Old Reds with special guest Brucey, the legend, one of our own. You will not want to miss that one. If you're a guy from my age or a girl from my age, you know who exactly I'm talking about. 8 p.m. tonight. Okay. Oh yeah, and don't forget this bad boy. Sorry, nearly forgot football prizes, my bad. Signed, framed, 1979 cup-winning shirt. Signed by Martin O'Neill. Few tickets still left on this one, so go grab them now. You won't want to miss out on a thing of beauty. Okay, everything done. Let's get into it. I said it on the player ratings. I was like, I wasn't angry. I was disappointed, but not in the performance, disappointed in the results. This just feels like we're getting a bit of deja vu with a lot of things with Forest. We're just losing games by the odd goal. No one, under Nuno especially, has tonked us. The only real tonking we've had all season was that weird one at Fulham. And Forest, I just feel this close to being a decent team. But that decent team only tends to show its teeth against the higher up teams in the league. I showed you the stat last week where Forest had only beaten Sheffield and you had to go all the way up till pretty much you hit Fulham before you found a team that Forest had beaten. And then from about 9th to 6th, we've beaten everyone. And then in the top 4, we've given them all a good game and only really lost by the odd goal here or there, or the odd VAR decision. And that's why I felt there's something Forest could do in this game yesterday. And we were close enough. If Chris Wood had just kept his legs closed, had planted his roots and just not had that hollow in his trunk, we would have... Anyway, I'm not going to dig out Chris Wood today, even though I have been saying it for a couple of weeks. He's lost his powers. But that's not the point. Like, anyone can miss a chance. Oh, I don't think my grandma would miss that chance. Not going to do it. Not doing it. But I want to talk about Niakhaté's interview post-match and something that he said that kind of highlights what I've been talking about with this Premier League table and who Forest can and can't beat. And he talked about how easy it is for the boys to get themselves up for a game that's against Man City, the best team in the world, I think he called them. And you can tell this now. This pattern on the table, for me, has a lot to do with motivation and how they get themselves up for the game. And I think questions do need to be asked. Why is it that our team and our players can get themselves up easily with no motivation required from the manager for the top 4 or 5 teams and still not win? But they seem to struggle with the teams in and around us. And again, he hinted at that when he talked about the game coming up against Sheffield this Saturday. And I think this is something that the players need to address, man. They've got to figure out how to stay cool out there, to quote Cool Runnings. They know every turn, they know every kick, they know everything in there, but they got to stay loose, man. And that needs to happen now. I do, however, like the way he talked. He talked with confidence that if we played like that over the next 3 games, we're going to be absolutely fine. I just hope he's right. He does have leadership qualities about him. And that's the next point I want to bring on. I felt for a while we haven't seen leaders on the pitch. And I thought yesterday we had a leader in Niakhaté and a leader in Bolly. And I like my leaders to be in that back line. So I'm quite happy for them to go forward into these next 3 games with their experience and try and guide and lead the people through. I said when Niakhaté came, he's captain material. He was captain at Mainz before he left there. And he has those traits. And we need more players who have those leadership abilities on the pitch, especially for the last 3 games. And we saw yesterday as well, Nuno spicing up his formation. It's the first time in under Forest, well, while he's been at Forest, I'm struggling to get the words out, that he's gone to a back three. We've seen it against Luton when he was trying to protect the lead, but we haven't seen it from the start of the match. And I think it worked quite nicely. And I think this is going to spark a debate, probably tonight on Grumpy Old Reds, and I think throughout the Forest fan base across the rest of the week, is should we revert back to this back 3/5, whatever you want to call it, for the remainder of the games? What do you guys think? Would you do it? I'm not sure, and I'll tell you why. Against the Man City, I could understand it. But going against the Sheffield, who themselves play a back five formation, I almost feel like would just end up pairing up the formations, and maybe our players are better quality, which they are, than the Sheffield ones. But we don't need surely an extra defender against them. But the shape of the team was so much better. I thought in the back five, Einar was able to be more free going forward, and he released really well. And I thought, for me, he was my man of the match. Who's your man of the match? Surely it's between Bolly and Einar for most people. So we will break this one down further in Grumpy Old Reds tonight. But I'm still undecided is probably the right way I'd do it. And I don't think you really need to do it. Surely you could just put 11 people out against Sheffield. Okay, I'm not going to jinx it. Okay, let's talk about Elanga now as well. I didn't think Elanga had a good game. In fact, I've seen this transition of Forest where they've gone from one extreme to the other. I used to get frustrated over the last couple of years, not sometimes in a good way, sometimes in a bad way, that we'd attack always down that right-hand side. Traditionally, when it was Spence and when it was Jono down that right-hand side in our promotion season, and then last season, Jono, ball over the top to Jono's side. And I wanted to see some more balance. And I felt we were starting to get that a couple of months back, where some of the attack would go down the left, some of the attack would go down the right, keep the opposition guessing. But there's been a clear transition across to the left-hand side now, where I felt most of our attacking play, especially yesterday, was coming down that left-hand side. And is that because Elanga's not really the one right now? Because I felt he was missing in large parts of that game. I didn't feel we exposed his pace to get him in behind that Man City lineup. And in general, I've just not been able to settle my feelings and emotions towards Elanga. Look, he is still, 21, 22? He's still got years ahead of him. But right now, what matters is what's on the pitch. And I think something we need to discuss is Elanga the right person for that role on that right-hand side? If we were to take him out, we lose pace. The problem is if you put Reina in that position, he drifts into the middle and we lose the width of that pitch. But Reina as a player seems to be a lot better. I don't know. I think there's another one we're going to have to discuss on Grumpy Old Reds, and you're going to have to get your comments down below. But the main thing I want to talk about today is what I saw from those players. And it's a bit of a Liverpool moment for me from last season when we went away to Anfield. Even though we lost, you suddenly felt that something had clicked. I think if I remember rightly, Cooper had just switched us back into a back three. I think Williams scored that day, and I can't remember who the other one was. I think it might have been Taiwo. And suddenly you felt, even though we lost, there was signs of something clicking. And I feel a parallel towards that Man City game, that even though we lost yesterday, had it been, should it have been, could it have been, Forest could have got something out of that. So maybe history is going to repeat itself. I think Nuno probably does stick with this back three, sticks with a similar team, similar setup to what we saw yesterday. And maybe we produce what we did last time at the end of the season, and we stay up in our final home game against another Big Six club. Who knows? Hopefully. But one thing we're going to have to address in the summer is the 6 and 8 position. I don't think it was balanced yesterday with Danilo and Morgan Gibbs-White. I can probably see Nuno tweaking that again if he sticks to the same formation against Sheffield. But it's still a problem position for me. It really is. I think there's a few positions we need to address in the summer. The 6 and the 8. I'm going to say the goalkeeper. I'm not 100% convinced that Sells will be the right one going forward into next season. and we definitely need a striker. But we'll talk about that hopefully once Forest are safe. And then, of course, there's the points. So, Forest this week will definitely find out whether or not they're getting any points back. Forget what the Premier League have tweeted. I think it's improbable that Forest get any more points added onto their tally. I think it's going to be between 1 and 2 points. It has to be for me 2. If Forest can get 2 points back this week and then do the impossible, not really impossible, but from a Forest perspective, win away from home. And if Luton lose to Everton, come on you toughies, that will put Forest 5 points clear, playing at the same time as Burnley, who are playing Newcastle, who are in a European scrap right now and have something to play for. 5 points with 2 games left. If both those teams lose, that would leave Forest needing 1 point out of 6, subject to goal difference. It's getting tight, guys. Buckle in. This is it. This is the final few furlongs of the race. This is the final peaks and troughs of that roller coaster. And I want this done by Chelsea, because a showdown at Burnley, I can't handle it. We'll see you tonight on Grumpy Old Reds at 8 o'clock with the legend himself. That is Brucey. If you haven't already, go grab your tickets for the signed framed Forest European winning shirt. And of course, as always, hit that like button if you forgot to do so at the start. Subscribe to Forest Fan TV if you are new. And we'll see you then. Come on, you Reds.